Hi there, so today I'm going to be talking about Footnotes in Gaza. It's a graphic novel by Sacco, and this is the first graphic novel that I'm going to be reviewing. It's also the first graphic novel that I've read in the same way that I would read a novel, sort of start it and carry on till the end. I own other graphic novels and I kind of pick them up and dip in and out of them. But I had to read this one for uni, so that was quite interesting. I really enjoyed it, actually. It's really, really informative, which I found particularly useful. I mean, it's about the Gaza conflict, and that's something I was quite ignorant about. Like, I knew it was happening, and I knew it was there, and I kind of understood, but I used to get quite confused about who was on what side, and who was meant to be the good guy, and who was meant to be the bad guy, if we're going to, simplify it down to that, and all that kind of stuff. But the graphic novel explained it really, really well. And I totally understood who was fighting who and why and what bits of lands were contested and where people were and all that kind of stuff. So what's really nice is there at the beginning of the book there's like maps, and Sacco uses different colours and different patterns to distinguish different parts of lands in the area. So that was really helpful. It really made it quite clear. And what was really nice was that Sacco is a white American man, and he totally in the introduction to the book says, look, I understand that I'm privileged, I'm not living this, and I have limitations by choosing to write this story, but he's done it because the people there aren't necessarily going to have the opportunity to do it themselves. And it was just really nice to see an author just totally be like, yeah, do you know what, this is problematic and I am privileged and I acknowledge that, and it's shit, and that's the way, unfortunately, it has to be, that these poor people have their stories, and the stories are so interesting that he discusses in the book, but they just have no outlet, they have no way of sharing these stories with the world. So he's took it upon himself, as comes from a background of journalism, so he does try to be as objective as possible, and he collects lots and lots of stories from lots and lots of different people, different generations, and yeah, I don't know, it's just nice to see him acknowledge those limitations and stuff. I mean, part of it is clearly, he's just doing it so he can get away with it, in a sense. It's like, whoops, no, this isn't brilliant, but I'm going to do it anyway, and I'm going to say sorry before I do it, so you can't tell me off. It's kind of that thing, but at the same time, he is still acknowledging it, so it's it's a little bit bittersweet, I suppose. So basically, it talks about two particular events in the history of the Gaza conflict, and they're two quite small events, and he discusses how in a lot of history books they are sort of printed in footnotes, which is why it's called Footnotes in Gaza, because he said that these are two quite important events to the local people, and actually in terms of history textbooks and all that kind of stuff, they get just totally glossed over completely. So he went over and he interviewed people and he found out what he could, and yeah, he created Footnotes in Gaza. I really loved the illustration style. Fantastic. He's a fantastic artist because he writes and draws all of his books. It's a brilliant illustration style, and going back to the fact that he's an outsider, the way he draws himself is very different to the way that he draws the local people, which I think is good, because again, he's trying to distinguish himself as an outsider. This isn't his story. He's just in the position to tell it. And I really liked that it's clearly a very political novel, graphic novel, story, whatever you want to call it. You can't deny it's 500 pages about two human rights atrocities in the Gaza Strip. It is political, but it's not preachy. So, it's definitely worth a read. Yes. See you soon. I'm going to end this now. Bye.